Dashboard components. The design of your dashboard has a huge impact on its effectiveness. In this video, I'll talk about some key parts of a dashboard and their purpose. Let's start with the most obvious component, the metrics. You have a wide variety of ways of showing the metrics. Some dashboards have links or guides with commentary about the metrics. You have very limited space on your dashboard, so don't put this commentary on it. Put a link to it or have a document available with the commentary. This commentary usually explains how the metric is calculated or measured. Yes, there is always someone who wants to know the details on this, and surprisingly, it's usually not someone in the accounting department. The commentary may also explain the importance of the metric. This ties the metric to strategy. It explains how the metric measures success. Success is often more than profit. Not all that matters can be easily measured. This is where you document why this metric is the best measure of what you want to achieve. The next component is the target. Metrics are what's measured. The target is the amount of that metric you want to achieve. You have two targets you can show, the year-end target or the target for the period. When those two targets are different, it's often a good idea to show both. Do most of your variance analysis on the current period's target, but also list the year-end target to show what you ultimately want to achieve. Of course, when I say year-end target, it may be a quarter end or some other significant deadline other than the interim reporting periods. For example, you may measure sales each week while striving towards a quarterly sales goal. Once you have your metric and target, the next obvious component is the difference or variance between the metric and its target. You have many ways to present the variance. One way is just to list the variance amount. You could color code the variance. For example, the number would be red if your performance is below acceptable. You could represent the variance with a colored dot, square, or other symbols. A common color code is red for well below budget, yellow for slightly below budget, green for above budget. Some dashboards also use blue for amounts well above budget. So far, we've talked about four components: the metric, the target, the variance, and a symbol to represent that variance. You can choose to show all of them or just one of them on your dashboard. Using fewer components makes reviewing the dashboard more efficient. On the other hand, finding numbers not presented on the dashboard means looking them up on other reports. Find the best balance for your dashboard users. Showing past performance for a metric can sometimes provide a lot of information. Two popular options are to compare one, the current period's amount to the prior period, or two, a line graph or bar chart with the current amount and the amounts from multiple past periods. Showing the past shows the trend for the metric. Future amounts for a metric often follow this historical trend line. Think of the trend as a rut in the road. Your company will need to exert more effort to steer out of that rut. Your decision as a leader is whether the cost and effort are needed to change the course of your company. The name of who's accountable for the metric can be listed on the dashboard or in the commentary about the metric. Some dashboards have a summary score of all the metrics. This is very common for companies that use OKRs, the objectives and key results system I discussed earlier. Each key result is weighted based on its importance. A weighted average score is calculated from all the metrics times their weighting. Here's a quick example of how this works. Let's assume you have a dashboard with three metrics. Each is measured on a scale of 1 to 10. Metric 1 has a rating of 7, metric 2 is 8, and metric 3 is 10. Metric 1 is given a weight of 50%, while metric 2 and 3 are each weighted 25%. You multiply each metric score by its weight. The sum of these scores multiplied by weights is the sum of the weighted score. This boils all your metrics down to one number. That assumes you know how to weight each metric. Now you know many of the common components of dashboards. In the next lesson, we'll look at sample dashboards and options for how to show those components.